We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. This is Clint Kelly. He's a malpractice attorney. His office in Hendersonville. Deals with a lot of clients every single day with medical malpractice. If you have a question or comment, 737-7587. Last time you were on, by the way, before we get to some of these other cases and wait for some more calls, is there a type of case right now that is happening more frequently than others that you're seeing or that you're handling?
Yeah, we talk about this a lot. I'm continuing to see it even months, almost a year afterwards, which is blood clots. Blood clots that are not being prevented in hospitals like they should be, which is leading to death, pulmonary embolisms, or severe injury. And we've known, medicine is known now for many, many years, that these are preventable situations. In fact, it's the #1 cause of preventable death in hospitals today, even more so than infection. Yeah, it's blood clots. Patients probably have seen, you know, those things that squeeze your legs, the sequential compression or pneumatic compression devices. Those are being used routinely now after surgery, and also many patients are getting the heparin shot, which is an blood thinner. But it is amazing to me to this day how hospitals are still resistant to implement that.
Why? What? All right, and how do you know? That's the other question. What I've learned so much, well, the truth is, if I'm going to go to the hospital for a procedure, the first call I'm making is to him. So, Clint, what about this hospital? How do you know? How should the consumer know? And you get to see it from the cases and everything. I don't want you obviously naming hospitals, but how do you decide where you're going to go, and what research can you do before you decide this is where I'm going for my surgery?
Word of mouth is still the best means to tease out the place you should go.
Ask people you respect. Ask your doctor.
People who've had surgery, family members, friends, people who have had experiences in hospitals involving surgeries, long-term surgeries, to get an idea of the care that they got. Obviously, you can go online. The problem is you don't get a very good feel online for hospital customer satisfaction in terms of patient safety. You can get it in terms of, you know, somebody will write on Google, oh, they treated me so well, but do you really know whether or not that was good care? Hard to tell. And also makes you wonder, does the hospital enter that information on their own through people that they pay? But long story short, word of mouth is the best. I mean, I know because of my experience. I mean, you can call me and I can tell you where you need to go, and I can tell you which doctors to see and which ones to avoid. Simply because I'm in the business. But your regular consumer, I wish there was more information available to them to make a more informed choice.
I told you I was in Phoenix. Both of my cousins are emergency room physicians, and there's a story I want to look into, and I was going to ask you about this. Okay, they're in an emergency, and they've got a friend that works at another hospital that now contracts with attending physicians, okay, to help whatever the doctors in the emergency room. There's a patient that comes in, okay, and they need to address this, but they're like, well, where's the attending? Oh, okay. They go and they wheel in a video monitor, and the attending physician is on the video monitor in front of a desk in another state, and she's there, and they're telling her what the thing is. And she's the one, and my friend, my cousins are like, this is ridiculous. And I go, well, really? Well, can't they give her the same? Yeah, but it's much different when you're there and you can feel someone, you can see them, you can pick it. Then this attending is on a monitor looking like this on a TV set from another state. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that, because they say they're seeing that more and more. It's a cost savings. One attending who ends up being called and goes on a video screen in hospitals across the country. When I heard that, I'm like, if I'm in the hospital bed and someone wheels in a video camera and a TV set, and there's my doctor on TV who can't really touch me or get a sense of things or feel myself, that's not as good as a doctor in person, period. And no one's going to convince me otherwise. Yeah,
there's no question. Well, there's two issues you raised by that. First of all, that's called telemedicine.
Okay.
And get used to it. It's here to stay.
That's great.
Okay, and it's going to proliferate in many different ways. Most people are going to be able to access their doctor by computer, and you're going to have like a FaceTime situation where you get evaluated and have discussions with your doctor.
I can see how that's not bad sometimes.
But that's different from what you're talking about. Inside the hospital, to me, is entirely inappropriate for a couple main reasons. First of all, you're paying an exorbitant amount of money to be in the hospital in the first place, okay? Secondly, the fact that you're in the hospital means that you have people who are supposed to be able to touch you, you know, be able to go face to face with you and monitor you in person. That's the whole idea of being in the hospital. So to me, the fact that something like that's happening with an attending physician out of state is completely inappropriate. And I'm telling you what, a big lawsuit's going to come out of that.
Yes.
And I'd be the first person to represent a patient in that situation because it's highly inappropriate, and to me it's a ripoff of the patient.
I'm telling you.
The patient's paying too much money to have to get that kind of poor care.
I'm going to watch for this, and when it comes, I'm going to call you and let you know. I mean, someone may contact me about this, but...
You're sure this happened inside the hospital?
Yes. Oh, no, these are my emergency room.
Okay.
Both of them are. Now, it wasn't with one of them. The story was relayed to them, and neither of them were familiar of it. They had heard about telemedicine like what you described first, but their friend said, yeah, well, we need help on this. Get the attending. Where's the attending? And then they wheel it in.
That's a stunner, Nick.
And he's on a monitor like the one we have in the studio here. It's crazy. Let's go. We got more calls. Let's go to Fred. Fred, good morning. Hi, Fred.
Hello.
What's on your mind, my friend? How can we help you?
Well, last July, my grandson, who was a grown man, 30 years old, he had an accident and broke his right arm, which is not good since he's right-handed. And he went to the doctor yesterday. He's still got a broken arm. It's been almost 6 months now. And he's generated between $4,000 and $5,000 worth of medical expenses. And he broke the bone completely in two right where his bicep is. And they didn't even put it in a cast or anything. They just stuck a piece of plastic around it and a piece of that bandage or something you wrap around there real tight, got Velcro on it. And here it is almost 6 months later now, and he's still got a broken arm.
Does it hurt?
I went to the doctor yesterday.
Does it still hurt?
Excuse me?
Does it still hurt?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. The lady that was, I heard him say yesterday, the lady, nurse, doctor, whatever it was he was talking to, said she didn't understand how he done anything with it like that. But he's a full-time student, a senior at MTSU, and he has to work. You know, he's got to use his right arm all the time.
Fred, I assume he's under the care of another doctor. What's the treatment that's being recommended for him now?
That I don't know. I hadn't talked to him about yesterday's visit.
You know, treating a fracture is generally pretty straightforward. You know, you reduce the fracture or you put pins and needles in. That's when people break things. That's the two ways to deal with it. It involves obviously a cast. Putting a piece of plastic around it seems fairly unusual to me. The question I would have here for his son is, grandson, excuse me, looking ahead is, can they fix it? If they can fix it and he can get a good result out of it, then it's not going to be a case. Granted, it's $4,000 or $5,000 of wasted money, but it wouldn't be a case worth taking, unfortunately, because it's just not cost effective to take.
And ultimately, he's going to heal.
And ultimately, he's going to heal. Now, if he's got something that cannot be repaired and he's going to have permanent impairment, nerve damage, that's a possibility. A flexing limitation because the bone hasn't healed right, or they have to re-break it. That opens him up to a whole another can of worms. But again, that's going to take time to see how that plays out. But it just seems highly unusual to me that they would have just put a piece of plastic on there and turned him loose.
All right, this happened
on a complete break, like you said.
Well, so it's good he called. This happened in July. Should he call your office?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And let me tell you, Fred, in situations like this, what we'll often do is we'll call it wait and watch. We'll see how he does with his new doctor and see if it can be repaired, where he can get a reasonable result. And then if we find out as we get closer to the statute that it's not going to get fixed, then we'll make a decision whether we take the case or turn it down.
All right, good. Fred, stick around. We'll have at the end of the program the phone number. It's worth it. Yeah, at least you protect your grandson if there's something that went wrong here, and they'll let you know one way or the other. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, May, Granger, and others, if you have phone calls, questions for Clint Kelly, we'll get to them right after this. Stay with us.